Welcome to WakeGOV TV. I'm Eric Curry. We have several stories lined up for you today. Wake County residents who find it difficult to pay their heating bills this winter have some relief. We'll have details, plus we'll share with you important winter safety tips that will keep you and your loved ones away from the emergency room. But first, North Carolina state statutes require the county function of emergency management to be responsible for the coordination of resources and incident management. Resources to manage incidences are shared via mutual aid agreements between the county and its municipalities, as well as the state of North Carolina and each county. However, due to recent annexations by municipalities into adjacent counties, the Board of Commissioners recently approved mutual aid agreements between Wake County and several surrounding counties. These agreements clarify roles and responsibilities between and among affected counties. Joining us today to talk about these agreements is Josh Creighton, Director of Wake County Emergency Management. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Josh, first, why are mutual aid agreements needed?
Mutual aid agreements are very purposeful in their ability to bring additional resources to bear to an incident. Not every jurisdiction can prepare for the consequences of a significant event. If we have something catastrophic, we do not have the resources to manage that incident. What the mutual aid agreements do is allows us to share resource amongst other jurisdictions, whether it be equipment or staffing or whatever the case may be. We can bring those resources to Wake County, but also if another county is impacted, we could take resources from Wake County and share it with those other jurisdictions.
What types of incidences cause these agreements between the counties to be necessary?
They can vary. It all depends on the scope and the intensity of the incident. We can bring about hurricanes, or when hurricanes are brought about, that can be an instance where we would activate mutual aid. We have sent teams out to the coast on several occasions during hurricanes. We have activated mutual aid over county lines for smaller scale incidents like hazardous materials incidents, where we go back and forth over county lines at a minimal level and small groups of resources, but nonetheless those resources are shared amongst the jurisdictions.
Is this the first of its kind to have these types of mutual aid agreements?
No, not exactly. We've had mutual aid agreements in existence for over a decade now. And the way it had worked before is every county in North Carolina signed a mutual aid agreement with the state. The state was the intermediate between mutual aid agreement and sharing of resources amongst counties. So Wake County, if they needed resources, they would call the state would find those resources among other counties, and then those counties with their agreement with the state would come to Wake County. And it took time to do that. So that's why we decided to go ahead and engage in these direct mutual aid agreements with all our contiguous counties.
And what do these agreements change?
The agreements change the ability to activate those mutual aid resources. Rather than going through the state, we can go directly to the other county or the other jurisdiction and activate those mutual aid resources. And the way we set it up is Wake County has signed an agreement with every municipality in Wake County. Each of our contiguous counties have signed agreements with their municipalities, and by default they are signatories to our joint mutual aid agreements from county to county. We're all still signatories to the state mutual aid agreement, so even though these new agreements are only our contiguous counties, we can still send resources across the state. And it just so happens that North Carolina is one of 49 states that is a signatory to the Emergency Management Compact, which says you share resources from state to state. So by default, we're a signatory to the federal mutual aid agreement called EMAC.
Josh, what has been the response from the partners in surrounding counties?
Both our municipalities and our surrounding counties have been very excited about this. Not only does it lessen the paperwork and the time required to do this, but the resources can come to bear a lot faster. And not only that, it has allowed the opportunity or provided the opportunity for jurisdictions to work more closely on a day-to-day basis in planning for these type of events, knowing that there will be direct mutual aid agreements in place or direct mutual aid response in place.
How will these mutual aid agreements benefit the citizens of Wake County?
It'll bring resources to bear much quicker. Also at the same time, each jurisdiction will not have to make the investment to build up the robustness of their particular public safety agencies because they can rely on their neighboring jurisdictions to bring those resources in.
And what will make these agreements successful as we move down the road?
Again, it's working with each other, opening up that door, knowing that the mutual aid agreements exist, and knowing that neighboring jurisdictions will most definitely be working together. It will prompt them to work together more and plan more on a regular basis. A lot of the jurisdictions that have been impacted by this, the examples are Cary has annexed into Chatham County, Raleigh has annexed into Durham County, Wake Forest into Granville County, and Clayton into Wake County, and also Anger into Wake County. So a lot of those issues, whether it's fire services or law enforcement, exist at the municipal level, whereas you mentioned earlier, emergency management is a county level function. So it made it a little bit confusing, and this will alleviate that confusion.
Okay, Josh Creighton, Director of Wake County Emergency Management, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
When we return, we'll share with you the county's 2014 achievements. Stay tuned.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
As I look back at the past year, I cannot help but be proud of what this county has accomplished. Our county is growing every day. We welcomed our 1,000th resident. We're attracting new jobs and supporting our skilled and educated workforce. Our annual budget exceeded $1 billion for the first time, and we issued the first batch of bonds for the school's building program. It has been a real joy to serve as your chair of the board for 2014. This year, the Board of Commissioners decided to focus our goals on 6 different areas, each with specific objectives. These goals and objectives serve as our roadmap. They lay out the plan for the board and staff, and I'm happy to report that we've made tremendous strides to meet several of these objectives. First, we wanted to continue our focus on physical strength and stewardship. This started by implementing financial policies and guidelines to address changing criteria from the rating agencies for achieving AAA credit ratings. A few months ago, county staff led rating agency representatives on a tour of the county to showcase the projects for which we issue bonds and our sound financial planning and management. The county has again maintained our AAA rating by Fitch, Moody's, and Standards & Poor's rating agencies, making us one of 42 counties in the United States that are AAA rated by all 3 rating agencies. This rating enables us to receive low interest rates on debt for capital expenditures. As you may recall, last year voters supported a bond referendum to allow tax increases for construction and renovations at our public schools. The commissioners implemented the tax increase in June, and the Wake County Public School has Capital Improvement Plan 2013 well underway. The focus of our next goal was to promote and protect the public health of the community. Water is a basic necessity, and we have enhanced outreach testing and technical services for water quality to protect public health. Staff are tracking and investigating trouble spots and have increased education efforts among well owners. The county is also working with local, state, and federal organizations to share information and navigate resources for the benefit of our community. The work we do at the Animal Center is another way the county protects the health of our community. The board supports education, community partnerships, and ordinance revisions to help protect staff and animals alike. The Animal Center recently went through an extensive renovation. The completed renovations help staff process animals more safely, as well as reduce the spread of sickness and stress among animals. Nearly 7,000 cats and dogs have been adopted, reclaimed, or transferred in the fiscal year 2014. The county is fortunate to have a well-educated and skilled workforce that is largely influenced by the strength of Wake County Public Schools and Wake Tech. In fiscal year 2014, the county increased operating funds to both agencies, in addition to funds committed to the capital programs. The county and schools developed a close working relationship through the school bond referendum and the development of an interlocal agreement regarding school construction. The agreement lays out a plan for collaboration and checks and balances for the process of site acquisition, design, and construction of school buildings. It also promotes a cooperative working relationship between the school district and the county through an established core team that meets regularly, strengthening the collaboration between the county and the schools, and increasing the understanding of the scope, design, construction, and cost of the school capital improvement plan, as school facilities are an important component in providing quality education for future generations. You have already heard about our partnerships with the Wake Public Schools, but the county also engages in partnerships for economic development. Our goal in this area is to increase collaboration among community partners and government to develop long-range plans for land use, economic development, infrastructure, and environmental programs. We believe this will improve the prosperity, health, and diversity of the community. As the county grows, we have seen many indicators of a recovering economy. From January through September, we saw an increase in commercial permits from the same time last year. The 2014 permitted value exceeds the comparable period in 2013 by over $350 million. Unemployment rates continue to decline and consistently remain below the national and state average. Between January and June of this year, we have had 46 companies announce new locations or expansions in Wake County with more than $300 million in new investment. Total jobs announced by new and expanding companies grew 45% between 2011 and 2013. And while we're excited to welcome new businesses to our community, we cannot forget about our rich agricultural history. There are more than 800 farms on 85,000 acres of farmland in Wake County. This is a $73 million industry for the county. We continue our work with the county's farm and agribusiness community to facilitate their efforts for farmland preservation and economic viability. Staff developed the Wake County Agriculture Economic Development Plan, which recommends an integration of economic development and farmland protection with an expansion of county voluntary land preservation programs through conservation partnerships. Wake residents have had many opportunities to get outside and enjoy greenways and open space throughout the county. We have maximized those opportunities by finding new greenway partnerships and continuing our open space program. This year, we have begun work to open 3 properties: Robertson's Mill Pond, Turnip Seed Assemblage, and Proctor Farm for public access as nature preserves to be enjoyed for generations to come. What a year it has been.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back. As we move into the colder months of the season, unfortunately, there are a number of folks in the community that will find it difficult to pay their heating bills. Well, Wake County Human Services may be able to help. The Low-Income Energy Assistance Program is a federal funded program that provides one-time vendor payments to help eligible households pay their heating bills. Joining us to explain how the program works is Janie Flint, Program Manager, and Felicia Downing, Energy Supervisor with Wake County Human Services. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Felicia, what is the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program?
The Low-Income Energy Assistance Program, or most often people would refer to it as LEAP, is a federally funded program in which we assist eligible households with their utility bills.
Janie, is this the same program where people will receive a check each winter automatically?
Yes, it is the same program that went through some major changes a few years ago, and instead of it being an automatic check that goes to an individual, each person must apply each year. They must submit an application and be eligible, and then a check is actually made to the vendor for their primary heating source and not to the individual.
Felicia, what about households with more than one heating source, such as gas, propane, kerosene, and wood?
Those individuals would have to determine for this fiscal year which primary source they'd like for us to assist them with, be it the electric or the gas.
Okay, and Janie, what information is needed to complete the application?
We do have to have information about their utility bill, so whichever vendor for their primary source, whether that's the electric or gas or other vendor. Then we also need to be able to verify that they are eligible in terms of a U.S. citizen in residency in Wake County, and Social Security numbers for everyone in the household, and income information related to each person in the household.
And I'm assuming it's very important that folks that are applying complete the application all the way through.
Yes. In fact, if it's not completed all the way and signed, it's not considered an application.
Okay, Felicia, what are the two application periods?
Well, the first application period will be from December 1st to December 31st, and that will be for a specified population, 60 or over, and those who are receiving disability benefits. The remaining Wake County residents will be eligible January 1st through March 31st, and the program ends on March the 31st.
Okay, Janie, what are the options for submitting an application?
We have several options, and we're actually this year working on some increased outreach so that we will have hopefully more options that we'll be able to provide. But there are, you can go to Wake County Human Services at Swinburne, our main location, as well as all three of our regional centers in the Southern Regional in Fuquay, the Northern Regional in Wake Forest, and the Eastern Regional Center in Zebulon. In addition, we have some partners that Resources for Seniors that has some of the communities that they partner with us to get applications completed, and then we are working on our outreach to increase and see if we can get some community application sites, including some non-traditional hours.
Even though this area is known as one of the best places to live in the country, we find it thanks to this LEAP program, there are resources for folks without the means to pay these bills. How prevalent is it in this community, and do you think citizens who are in need of assistance know that this program is there?
I think it's very prevalent in this community. As you indicated, it is a wonderful place to live, work, and play, but there are a lot of households who are unable to pay their utility bills due to unemployment and other adversities. So at this time, a lot of residents are not familiar with this program. This is the reason that we wanted to come today, to make sure that we can convey that this program is available to those who are eligible.
And Felicia, what is the processing time, and how can folks make sure that they can stave off vendors from shutting off their electricity?
Okay. For the LEAP program, we have 30 days as an agency to process the application. So if a person is in crisis, which means that they're in jeopardy of possibly losing their service, the LEAP program will not address that. We have an additional funding source that's called SIP. It's a crisis program that is used to alleviate a crisis. So for that program, we have a smaller time frame to process the application.
Okay, and before we close, Jenny, could you again inform the viewers how they can find out more information about this program?
Yes, we do keep updated information on our website, the Energy Assistance page. We will update that also with any outreach or additional application sites will be on there, as well as the hours and locations of all of our traditional sites. And our phone number is available if you have particular questions that someone has, or if there is an organization or an agency that wants more information for their clients, we're happy to talk with them as well.
Okay, Felicia Downing, Jenny Flint with Wake County Human Services, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having us here.
Stay tuned to WakeGOV TV. We'll have more after this break.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back. With an array of unexpected weather patterns that we experience during the winter months in this area, it's important to understand what it takes to prepare for snow and ice storms here in the Wake County area. Joining us today to talk about safety tips for this winter is Jeffrey Hammerstein, District Chief for Wake County Emergency Medical Systems. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Eric.
What types of winter weather emergencies does Wake County EMS typically respond to this time of year?
Any variety like you would expect. Certainly we have falls in snow and ice. We have automobile accidents as a result of slick roads. And then there are those who suffer from exposure to the cold, whether it's somebody who has an unheated home or an underheated home, maybe someone who doesn't have a home, who is out in the elements for a long period of time, those type of emergencies. Not as common are things like frostbite and risk of frostbite, but we certainly do see those on occasion as well.
One, I guess, common thing during this time of year, during ice storms and even big snowfalls, you have a lot of folks going outside, whether to play or to shovel snow from sidewalks, driveways, a lot of exposure out little, probably longer than they should have been, whether it's to play or to actually try to prevent further problems around their homes. What are some tips can you give to residents and some of the signs they should look for if they decide to venture out?
Certainly, we certainly don't fault anyone for wanting to go out and play in the snow. I mean, who doesn't like to do that? And of course, we do have to keep the house clean and tidy and keep the sidewalks clear so that we can walk up safely. When you're shoveling snow, always keep in mind that's a lot of pretty heavy exertion, so keep an eye on yourself with that. If you feel like you may be at risk for some heart-related or breathing problems, it's definitely important to pace yourself with something like shoveling snow. Do a little bit at a time, take a break and come back out and do some more. So it's definitely true, Eric, that you want to limit your exposure. Make sure that you're well covered. Fingertips, toes, that type of thing, your nose, your earlobes, all of those things that are out there in the cold for a long period of time can certainly be subject to frostbite or cold weather injury as a result of that. So make sure you're pretty well wrapped up and not out for too long at any one time.
And what are some of the signs you should look for as it relates to frostbite?
Certainly, with the cold, we know things start to go numb. Pay attention to that. If things are starting to feel numb or burning sensation or itching sensation, that's your body telling you that piece has been exposed too long and we need to do something about it. Probably get back inside and get warmed up.
And what about EMS responding to a number of traffic-related calls during icy conditions? First, what are some of the types of calls that you and your men and women must respond to, but also what are some tips you can give to motorists and passengers if they're involved in car accidents along icy roads or patches during the winter months?
Sure. One of the luxuries we have in this area is that we don't have frequent snowstorms and ice all through the winter, typically on a typical winter. So when it does hit us, sometimes it hits us a little bit harder. What we've seen recently, in recent years, the ice and snow that hit right at rush hour, so we know we have a lot of traffic out there. You know, every year law enforcement talks about if you don't have to be out there, please don't be out there. One of the complications that comes from so much traffic on the road in the ice is that as traffic kind of gets paralyzed or cars slide off the road and block the shoulders and block the byways and traffic is not moving through well, that makes it quite a bit more difficult for EMS to respond to emergencies. We, without a doubt, see a surge in emergency EMS requests for traffic accidents during those times, very understandably, but that's a big surge. In addition to that, anytime something like that is happening, the normal flow of 911 calls don't stop just because it's snowing outside. So we still have the medical calls, we still have the unrelated injuries, all of those. It makes it quite a challenge to get through that traffic and get to places. Now, we're still going to do that. We're still coming, but it makes it more difficult. So if anyone that possibly can keep themselves off the road, we have lots of forecasts available. Pay attention if we know the roads are going to be difficult and we can do something other than go out and about, or if we can leave work a little bit early and get home. I know that's difficult for some. Certainly that's all the better for the response system. When people are in a traffic accident in the ice and snow, I'm sure it can be quite scary to feel like you're out there in the dark, in the snow, and no one's coming. Most people have cell phones. If you can get a cell phone, give us a call. All the information you can, tell us exactly where we are, and we'll definitely be on the way. Sit, stay calm, keep the information coming to the 911 folks, and we'll be there as quickly as we possibly can.
And I guess the final tip that you can offer to residents during the winter months?
Pay attention to the forecast. If we know that it's going to be snowy and icy, make plans for that so that you can keep yourself safe, so that you can keep yourself off the road, and just know that we're on the way.
Jeffrey Hammerstein, District Chief for Wake County EMS, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us, Eric.
Keep up with the latest news and information by visiting us online at wakegov.com/news or on Facebook, Twitter, or our YouTube channel. That's our show for today. Thanks for watching.